But okay, so today's parent plug-in is vaping, what parents should know. With The Gifted, we're here every Monday at 8 p.m. So my colleagues can't come on, so I'm just gonna chat with you. Please, any questions as we go, put them in the box, because then it will make it much easier to keep the conversation going, and answer anything that you think or need to know. So definition of vaping is that vapes are electronic devices or e-cigarettes. I thought that e-cigarettes and vapes were different. Hello Leonie, I don't know if you thought this as well, but I kind of thought that e-cigarettes, because when I was growing up, e-cigarettes were electric cigarettes. I remember my godmum had one, and they were just cigarettes. They looked like cigarettes, but they were electric. So I didn't realise that vapes were the same, but vapes are an e-cigarette. They're in the same family. So they're electronic devices or e-cigarettes designed so that people can inhale nicotine as vapour. Vaping is inhaling steam that comes from hot nicotine liquid. E-cigarettes, different vape types and brands, all have different devices for heating the liquid. Let's see if this one works. Hi Andrea, I've accepted, so hopefully that will come through soon. By expecting only that you know what vaping is. So I was shocked to find out that at the moment, as of 2023, hello!
Oh, great, I'm on last.
You got on!
Yeah. Okay, right. I can't hear you. Can you hear me, Esme?
I can hear you, I can see you, all good.
Okay, great. Let's talk. So apologies, it's our first time, so
Leonie's been here since the beginning, so
and she's been trying to help me as well, so that's good. So I'm not sure what happened. We now know that I can't go on as the Gifted. I think that's the key thing.
Yeah, no, I didn't think you would.
Yeah. Okay, so apologies to anyone that's been trying to get onto this evening's chat, but we will go forward and we will continue. So Esme?
Yeah.
Over to you.
I was just saying, and I know that we mentioned earlier that we were both really shocked to find out that children as young as 8 are vaping. Yeah. Which I feel like I shouldn't be shocked, because like I know that at least when I was a kid, my friends were picking up fag butts from gutters and smoking them, so I shouldn't be shocked that children as young as 8 are vaping. But I think I'm shocked at how they're getting hold of them, because why are people buying children vapes? But so obviously we know that it is bad to smoke as adolescent.
It's not the best choices, is it?
No. And I can tell you for why. So nicotine can harm the developing adolescent brain, which keeps developing until you're 25. I always thought it was 21, but it's 25. And using nicotine can harm the parts of the brain that control attention, learning, mood, and impulse control. So obviously, especially for children, when they're trying to learn all of these things, or young people, teenagers as well, when they're trying to learn all these things, if they're also smoking or vaping, that's not going to be great. And I thought when I learned that, I thought, well, what about nicotine-free vapes? Because obviously vapes came to help people stop smoking, and then vapes became a problem. So they were like, well, we've got nicotine-free vapes, so you can try get off of the vapes. But turns out that I do have a statistic, but basically nicotine-free vapes are pretty much non-existent. So there was a survey and they assessed all the vapes, all the nicotine-free vapes, and basically none of them were nicotine-free. Some of them had such high traces of nicotine in them that it was double the amount of the legal limit of nicotine, but they're being sold as nicotine-free vapes that are safe if you don't want nicotine. I heard from a 12-year-old that her granddad let her try vaping, but she didn't like this. That's good. It's good that she didn't like the taste.
Do you know what the funny thing is that I think there's so many, from my own research, there's so many different flavors and whatnot on the market, and I think that what they're trying to do is mask. Basically, they're trying to mask that taste of nicotine, and unfortunately, as we know from the dangers, that it's very difficult to mask it, and it's always going to be there. And I think in terms of marketing, they'll say anything and do whatever, won't they?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, they're breaking they're breaking the law in many ways. I think because it's so new, they're getting away with it. Because vaping is very new in terms of when we look at smoking.
Oh yeah.
And even when you look at the packets and the branding and whatnot, you can see, you see this bright coloured and you see this little warning sign at the side of it. And I think we've always got to remember that, it is everything, the underlying ingredient is that nicotine. And that is why it's so addictive. They're not addicted to, chewing gum flavour or Skittle flavour, which they've got. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
They've even got Skittle flavour. But the fact is that nicotine is so strong, and that is why our young people are becoming addicted to. But it's interesting that you say that, as young as that young person is that granddad let her try. I wonder if he was trying to get her to try so she didn't like the taste of it. Who knows?
Yeah, because that's always a risky one too, because my friend, I'm in my mid-20s, and my friend smokes and has done since they were a child, because they got to try it to put them off it, and they were like, oh, that's quite nice actually. So it just backfired, and now they still smoke. So
well, I think I can remember my dad. I can remember one of my cousins. He was quite a big smoker and he was quite young. And I can remember my dad saying, "Well, if you're a man, let's put some cigarettes on the table and see how many you can smoke." And he ran a mile.
Yeah, too many,
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
Leonie's just asked, why do shopkeepers sell vapes to school kids but prevent selling cigarettes? So obviously, I don't know if you know, but the government brought a ban in, which hasn't fully gone through yet, from what I understand. I don't think it's going to be completely rolled out until the start of 2025, but they have started doing some of it, and that's why some less flavored vapes are now available in like the co-op, because the branding was that young vibe, isn't it? It's like sweeties, and it's like this fun, cool thing. You can get them in all the colours. So like I know that some teenagers will get them to match their outfits, like different.
Yeah, I was quite surprised. Yeah, it's a real fashion accessory.
Yeah, and it's children like under 12 that have tried or started vaping, one of the biggest reasons is because their friends are doing it, so they're like, oh well, I'll try too.
Yeah.
But I think, to answer your question, Yoni, I do think because it's so new, there was just a massive marketing opportunity there, and I think the government hadn't put procedures in place yet to not let that happen, so shops just kind of ran with it, didn't they? And companies that are making vapes.
It's an opportunity, isn't it? It's an opportunity to make money quick. And the reality of it is that unfortunately, Leonie's saying that, the amount of shopkeepers that are selling it illegally, under the counter, over the counter, whatever it may be, is that, they're taking it's young people's lives, it's their health. And I'm hoping that the NHS will take that a lot more seriously, because effectively this all started, didn't it, from trying to say, well, actually it was a way to reduce people from smoking, but now it's become like non-smokers even more at an earlier age, because I genuinely don't believe that smoking a normal cigarette, young people start that early, but because it has this masking taste as such, that it's palatable, I think, to young people. So, you know, to look cool, even though it's a bit it's a bit like alcohol. Come on, let's be honest, a lot of alcohol doesn't taste great until they sort of made all these different flavors of these vodkas and
Yeah.
whatnot. And so it masks the taste of it, but you can still look cool, you know. And
Yeah.
I think that that is the key to it, is that really is that everything is being masked. It's not what it is. It's false. And actually, as I say, the government are going to pay a really hefty price in terms of young people's health. And I was watching a YouTube video of this guy who literally, his parents said it was 20. I don't know. It was something like they said that he had, you know, I don't know, maybe a month or whatever to live. Because he was literally suffering so much with bronchial problems, and that they called the whole family in to say goodbye to him. I mean,
And
it's a miracle that he's
that
alive.
was
We won't go. That's another story, but you know, but this is
exactly what
real
vaping. And that
because
was
yeah, yes, it was. Yeah, because again, the lungs aren't fully developed, you know, and
and yeah, they say that a vapor's lung that looks the same, like inside, if you're cutting someone open, looks the same as someone who's had a lung injury. So,
mm,
you know, so they're being sold these, like Kemi just said, like these Haribo flavored vapes, which is
mhm,
obviously, and as Kemi said, marketed to kids,
yes,
like candy floss. It's all
it
marketed
is.
to kids, and especially if they think it's nicotine free, so they're thinking, oh, it's nicotine free, and then they're accidentally getting lung injuries and becoming addicted to nicotine. And I think it's interesting what you were saying, that Andrew, of how vapes were brought in to help adults stop smoking.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
and when vapes, like a couple of years ago, more vapors, more percentage of vapors were smokers to vapors. But now for adults and young people, like it's just the percentage for adults is rising for the amount of non-smokers that become vapors. And most children that start vaping are non-smokers that start vaping.
mhm,
So it's
mhm,
not a cigarette problem, it's not a nicotine problem,
mhm,
it is the vapes. Um, but also, um, obviously, if we're looking at what is worse for you, smoking cigarettes or vaping, smoking cigarettes is worse. But a lot of children and young people and teenagers think that vaping is worse for you than cigarettes, but they still do it.
yeah. Mm.
So it's not a thing of like they're doing it and not smoking because they want to make a healthier, conscious choice. They're just doing it because it's trendy and cool. Yeah,
Yep.
same price as a meal deal. They're so cheap. And when people start vaping, they're those little, like the little Lost Marys, the little square ones that we've probably all seen, the nice colourful
Mhm.
ones with the different frames. They, lots of people that I know, be like, when I started vaping, I was like, this is amazing. This is so much better than smoking because it would last me, like a week. And now I'm like going through 5 a day. And now it's more expensive than smoking. And
I
especially
didn't
because
know that. That's one thing I didn't know
still,
how much it cost. Yeah. I was concerned about that because I think for me, one of the things I don't know why I just kept on thinking about young people, and when they actually can't get hold of the money the, to get the product, what's going to happen then? Are they going to steal? Does that lead to, you know, them stealing, bullying other kids to get theirs off of them, or bullying other kids to give them money? You know, all of these different things I've started to think about as young people, what you do when you get desperate, you know, because actually if it's addictive, you're going to need it. You're almost going to think, I can't get to school unless I've had, you know, a
yeah.
puff of my vape, you
And
know,
they're
and
going to
so
get,
that's going to lead to another
yeah, and
problem.
they're going to get the same side effects of nicotine withdrawal. So like bad moods, tired, hungry, wanting to vape.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of adults who, since the vape bans and they couldn't get their flavors as easy, especially in more rural areas, they just started smoking again. So it's like it's not even like it's. But I know. So I read something, which I kind of knew about before doing the research, but I didn't fully understand how it would work. But the government want to start something called the smoke-free generation, which is where they're basically going to keep upping the legal age to buy vapes or cigarettes. So anyone turning turning 15 in 2024. So anyone that turns 15 this year, or they're younger than 15, they will never legally be sold cigarettes or vapes. And the government predicts that it will bring vapers aged 14 to 30 down from 30% to 8% by 2030. So
what do you think of that?
I just think they kind of did this with cigarettes when they, changed the packaging, so they, there wasn't different packaging. They put the horrible pictures on. They made them more expensive. They didn't sell the small packets of Baki anymore, so it was less appealing to young people. You can only get the big ones. They still smoke. I think there's got to be more conversation, hopefully, as in schools, just as part of like PSHE. Probably it'll be introduced like it was with smoking.
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't think just about the health risks and the safety risks, because studies have already proven that young people don't care about that, but about, maybe like the more just the long-term effects. And yeah, like maybe upping the price, because they are so cheap at the moment. I do think that's...
What's the average price? Sorry, I don't know. So
We'll have a look. So yeah, the average price of a disposable vape is just under £5.
that's expensive. If you can imagine, if you've got an 10-year-old, primary school young person, you're like, hang on a minute, like that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe I'll ask Kemi, how much pocket money would she give her? Would she give to her teen and also her nearly 8-year-olds for their pocket money? Because I don't know how they can afford that.
We look for the cheapest.
Yeah. I just think that's quite expensive. I mean, not that that matters, but I'm just surprised at how much it is, and how when we're hearing that young people are buying sometimes 2-3 a week. So you're thinking, wow, maybe they're getting 20 quid and that's what they're spending, and they're spending £20 a week.
I know, like, why?
I'm like, why, but how? And I think, so maybe
you can get Lost Marys for £3.
Okay. Okay.
That's
So it goes so £3, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe two, and I bet maybe they're two for a fiver. I'm betting any money that you could probably get.
We've got a few things. Leonie said, I believe they share vapes with their friends, mix and match the flavour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sense. That's
and Kemi said that a Panorama documentary reported a late teenager spending £50 a week on vapes.
See, that's what I'm saying. Where do they get the money from? This is the issue. Yeah. £50
a week. I don't even spend that on my food shop.
But I think it's really, I mean, I think all of this is, I think where we have to revert back to a point that we're talking about children. And so it's important to think about, how do parents now, we need to make sure that parents are being educated, parents are being given information about this. I think, because at the end of the day, as you say, it's quite cheap. And the other side of that is they probably can use their dinner money. So actually, parents have got to look out for the fact that my young person's losing their appetites. They're not eating. They're coming home. They're tired. They're hungry. Maybe a low mood because they haven't had one today, or they have their weekly. So maybe if I think about it, maybe if I've got 12 high school young person, and maybe they've got I don't know, £20 for their dinner money for the week, let's say. Yeah, don't know, but let's get an example of that. Even though I think in a lot of high schools now it's all cashless anyway, but I think if we look at it that way, we've really got to look at how, in a way, drug proofing our parents, and parents to know the signs, to look for the signs. They've really got to be connected with their young person, watching what they're doing, even how they smell their clothes, making sure that again, I mean, I don't know how it smells,
I
unfortunately,
think that's
but
one of the problems that I saw in some like forums that parents are finding of like if it's a sweet smelling vape, it's not necessarily going to make the clothes smell like a cigarette would.
yeah,
But yeah, I think knowing the signs of nicotine withdrawal
yeah,
to see and if that's unusual, and I think that that's the same for any withdrawal, isn't it? Like if you know your young person well enough, you'll know if they're withdrawing from anything because their mood drops,
yeah,
they'll be more tired, all these things. But from my research, I'd say that the best way to start having the conversations with young people is literally just have like an open conversation, not judgmental, not preachy, or like going in with an agenda, just finding out what they already know about vapes, what their friends think about vapes, if their friends vape, and like just starting the conversation that way. So then it's a normal thing rather than like this secret, like really rebellious thing. And it should just be, just a chat and then finding out and then kind of going from there.
yeah. For me, I think that sometimes I know that we say that they don't care, but I think the thing is that the facts have got to be alarming. They've got to
Yeah.
recognise that young people are gonna their life their life expectancy is going to reduce because of what they're doing at that early age. And even things like impotence and the fact that it's caused there are start I mean this research is really really new, we know that, but already they're starting to say that in men, so imagine in men is causing, they're saying there's impotence, so therefore in a young person that hasn't fully developed in every area of their body, the physical, and it's like they've got to know that if this continues, and for girls as well, I think girls may well be slightly more alarmed by the fact that what, I might not be able to have kids if I continue to on this pathway of smoking, vaping, because of what it does. Yeah. And
Yeah.
all, I think so, in a way there is a side that I believe potentially is non-judgmental, but I think on the other side of it, I think we have to give our young people the hard facts
But I
that
think
this is what happens.
I think there's a way of giving the hard facts
Yes.
without them feeling like it's an attack as well, isn't there? And it's getting the balance of like, this is what happens to people that vape. It's been around long enough now that we know the consequences. So there's none of the excuse of like, oh, it's so new, we don't know. We do know. And then finding out what they already knew and then correcting anything that they think like it's,
Mhm.
oh, nicotine free ones are absolutely fine, and well actually now we know that nicotine free vapes don't really exist, and if they do, they're not the ones being sold in the
Yeah.
corner shop.
Yeah.
um,
Hmm.
and then yeah, and I guess obviously it's different for every parent, isn't it? But
I think if you were to say what's the most alarming, so I guess what's the most alarming facts that you found out that I think you could share with us as parents in terms of about vaping?
um so I was alarmed that children as young as 8 are vaping and that the lungs look the same as lung injury, because I knew, so when vaping got really big when I was around 18, popcorn lung was a big thing, and I was living in America, and so many college students were just dropping down dying from popcorn lung because of what was in the vapes then, and that was the brand Juul. I don't even remember that brand. So they took them all back, they changed like the recipes and all of it to change it to make them safer. But for me, that was why I never wanted to vape, because I was like, people literally dropping down. So knowing that it has the same look of lung injury, I think was most alarming. But I've got a couple of other facts here. If we're going to look at some statistics, 7% of 11 to 17-year-olds said that they vape in 2022. So that's 7% in 2022. but in 2021 it was only 3.3. So over a year it doubled. So I couldn't find what it is now, but I think it's interesting how quickly that came. And I saw a lot of discourse online saying about how lockdown will have influenced the rise in vaping so quickly. And then in 2023, 20.5% of children had tried vaping, 7.6% were currently vaping, with 4% less than once a week and 3.5% more than once a week. So that 20% I feel is quite high as well, that 20% have tried vaping.
A fifth, isn't it? It's a fifth. It's a lot.
Yeah,
it really is.
That's a lot of children, and especially if we're thinking in highly dense areas like London, that's a lot of children just in such a small area. So many children are vaping. That website didn't tell me what they classified as child, the age, but obviously from other research I know that children as young as 8 are vaping, so I guess that is anywhere from 8.
I think there's so much peer pressure, and then I think as well, where what we said before, and touching back on that, is actually the marketing.
Yeah, it is really the marketing, because
and
I was saying at the beginning, before you came on, that I was kind of shocked to find that e-cigarettes and vapes are the same thing, because to me,
me too. I was going to put the light on. I think it's getting a bit dark with it.
When I remember when e-cigarettes first came a thing and I was really young, they were an electric cigarette. Like they had the white bit, they had the brown bit. And in 2012, 700,000 people in the UK vaped. But in 2023, it is, oh, I've lost that now, 2000. And now, right now in 2024, sorry, it's 5 million. So 5 million now, and in 2012, 700,000. Such a big difference. That's not even. And I think the laws that are coming into place are going to help with it being less appealing to young people, like not vaping indoors, like not being able to vape in, like restaurants and other places that teenagers go. Like I remember people vaping in chicken shops and in pubs and clubs, and it was like, well, and young people are seeing that. So things like that are going to help. The packaging changing and not being as colourful, and not being on display where young people can see it is also going to help. But there's also statistics to show that if young people grow up in homes that smoke, they're going to end up more likely smoking. So I'm sure that if they grow up in a household that vapes, they're probably going to end up vaping.
And unfortunately, I think there are more households that are vaping rather than smoking, because there are a lot of people that, I said, they believe it reduces their risk. So actually they're saying, I can do this instead. But it's quite interesting. Like a neighbour of mine was telling me that they had a young person they knew of, a young person who initially smoked, say, marijuana, and then they stopped that, and so they went on to this vaping. And actually, the interesting thing is, obviously, when it came to smoking marijuana, they weren't smoking that much.
Yeah.
But she said every time she saw him, he was always vaping.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, because it becomes such a, especially when they're so tiny, and you don't have to go outside to light them. So in the winter.
And so it's interesting that, as I said, where they'd smoke maybe once or twice a day, now they're constantly smoking.
Yeah.
So this thing is very habitual, and I was a smoker. So, saying all of that, I was a smoker of probably, I don't know, 10 a day, maybe. I can't even remember now. But, I think that there comes a time where we start to look at our health, and I think this is where the lies being sold is that this is not better for us. This is the issue. This is not. This doesn't make this just in a way it just slows down the process, I think.
Yeah.
And the government is still, and even though we talk about the NHS and the government, and not even so much the NHS, but the government, they're still making money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're
and
still making a whole load of money.
Yeah, because that's why they'll never ban it, because there's so much money in it. I did find something else that I haven't mentioned yet. When we were talking about, like kids knowing the facts and the dangers of it. Even if they are able to get vapes that are nicotine free, so even if you're saying to your young person, nicotine vapes are very nicotine free vapes are very, very rare. Studies have found that even the nicotine free ones have so much nicotine in them. If they're thinking, but I definitely have a nicotine free vape, I know better than you, mum, do you know what I mean? All vapes, both nicotine and nicotine free, so all vapes cause oxidative stress in the lung. And oxidative stress is an imbalance between the pro-oxidants and the antioxidants, and that's what makes your lungs vulnerable to injury. So just inhaling that vapor, literally just that, can do the damage, even if there's not anything else in it. Which I found interesting as well, because I was wondering, okay, then is the solution for, obviously stronger laws on nicotine-free vapes, is that the solution? But they're still harmful, so I think it'd be good for young people to know that within their facts, their armor of knowing what they're putting into their body. When I work with teenagers leaving care, I always say, you're gonna take and do whatever you want, because you're gonna, but I can tell you everything that I know and all my experience. So hopefully, if you are in a situation where you want to, for this example, if you want to vape, then at least you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. You're completely informed, rather than just, doing it blindly, which at the moment, unfortunately, that's what a lot of kids are doing.
And I think we don't, and as parents, I don't think we know enough facts as well. But I guess that's part of us educating ourselves. And I said, even just in the short time that I was thinking about, the subjects that you were going to discuss today, I found out so much. But I think so alarmingly that, and the concerns that I have for young people now, because I think it goes further for me. I start to think about bullying. I start to think about low self-esteem, which drives you to do these things. So on one side of the coin, I'm really concerned for young people doing it because their friends are doing it, because it looks cool. And then on the other side, it's about the young people that can't afford to do it, or they do it and they're so addicted to it that now they've got to find means and ways that they've got to pay for this habit. And then on the other hand, you've got young people who, unfortunately, we're seeing that they're not, they're under attaining at school because of the habits so we've got some very bright, lovely young people that are going to school and taking up all of these habits, and all of a sudden you're seeing that their results, they're not doing as well as they would hope to do, and mums and dads are thinking, why is this happening? So I think, again, it is about making sure that parents really do look for the signs, and actually, as you say, make it very much open conversations, find out as much as possible, and the facts. And I think we'll put these facts on the website so people are very clear, parents are very clear, and that can be shared. But it's really important that we tell, even us, we tell friends, we tell other parents, we make sure that it is actually it's a conversation to have with each other, because actually parents sometimes don't have enough time. And unfortunately, with the cost of living crisis, the parents that can be out there working are some working 1-2 jobs, working really hard, and these are things that they miss until it's unfortunately when it's too late. But I don't know if anyone's online that's actually had any experience. Kemi, if you're still online, or any other parents are on?
We have Leonie and Kemi at the moment.
Okay, so it'd be really interesting to just hear from Kemi if she's experienced anything with her own family where vaping's concerned. and you know what's been the challenges, if
And
any at all.
she has just put in the chat a minute ago as well, saying common and popular lie from a child who vapes is to say they're looking after the vapes for their friends so they won't get in trouble. Classic.
I suppose what would I do? I think if when my children were younger, what would I have done if I'd have found it? Yeah, like you said, I'd have to find a way to approach it and have a long. I'm one of these people, you might have gathered, I have these long, meaningful conversations. So I think
Oh
I'd have
yeah.
gone right. Yeah, I would have gone right into it. You know, not in. I definitely wouldn't go into it in an aggressive way, but I'd probably go into it so much so that they'd be asking me lots of questions. I'd probably find out a lot, but because they know, and it's interesting, they know a lot more than they actually, you know, let you know about
Yeah.
it. And I think that once you start that big discussion piece and you're actually being able to share that information with them, however, sometimes it might be like, wow, but I think, you know, giving them time to digest that information and to reflect, you know, and then going back again and maybe having another conversation because we're hoping it will change their perception.
I think as well as with anything that we want young people to know and absorb, it's just having things as part of conversations. So I don't have children, but I do have two nieces who are at leaving primary school age. And every time I have them, we'll just like, right, I don't have like big chats with them, but if something pops up, we'll just like briefly talk about it. And then one of them was telling me how she's been getting anxious and like how she could just identify it. And I don't know if that's because they've had that in school as well, but like I know their mum also, we just drop things in. And I think it's the same with I'm definitely going to start mentioning some vaping things and just like dropping them in throughout. So it's not like once they hit 16, this big conversation, because they might have already been doing it since they were 8.
But I think I've heard somewhere, I was just doing a little bit of research, and I heard somewhere where one of the doctors just said quite just clearly that your lungs are not made for this. Do you know what I mean? Your lungs are not made to take this. And that is it in its simplest form, isn't
Yeah.
it? That,
It's so sad that they are.
yeah.
Kemi just said that she was probably more shocked about a child vaping and felt that everyone else considered it normal and no big deal.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I guess that hopefully that was from lack of understanding and education for their adults around them, that they didn't know that it was bad and not good for them. But I think, you know, all there would need to be is a government campaign saying, mate, for vaping for adults, maybe it is helping, but vaping for kids is just as bad as smoking. Don't encourage it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there are some facts that I think even when young people hear the I suppose the health risks for adults.
Yeah,
Yeah. As I said, that one caught me was sexual dysfunction in men.
that one got you.
That one got me. I was like, sexual dysfunction in men? That's like, whoa. I don't know why. You know, I think about things to do with us women. You know, I've got 4 boys. I don't know why I don't think about those things. But I was thinking, wow, that is serious.
Yeah, yeah, and Leonie's just said as well again, you know, it's the smell of the vapes, colour of them makes them cool. And at the end of the day, it
Yeah.
does it. They match their outfits.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
all
Mm-hmm.
vaping shops are super colourful. Yeah, they're branded to the brain that is just going to be stimulated. It's like ping, 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 isn't it? When you're
And it
looking at.
becomes, I don't know if I said it before, but I think it becomes an accessory.
Yeah.
It's like an accessory.
Oh yeah, all of the girls in the care home that I last worked in, it was like different jacket, different colour vape, nails to match. You know, for a night
No.
out. That was all. That's completely part of part of the outfit. So,
yeah.
but I think main takeaway, if we're answering the question, what parents need to know,
Yes. Yes.
is going to be try and have it as things that you just talk about generally, kind of throughout, so it's not a big information dump by the time it's too late. But let them know all the facts, even if statistics are telling us that young people don't care about the health risks, and they are thinking that vapes are more expensive than vapes are more harmful than cigarettes. Let them know what it is doing to their lungs, what it has done to other young people, the long-term impact, as Andrea likes to think of, and just help them be equipped, and then ask them what they already know if their friends are vaping, things like that, and then hopefully it will become something that they can feel empowered to make their own decision about. And if it's just normal, if it's a thing that they've spoken about at home, then if it can be a comfortable topic, then maybe once that point comes and all their friends are vaping, maybe they'll come to you hopefully and say, like, all of my friends are vaping now, like, I don't know if I want to, maybe I want to try it, and then that can be a more open situation to go from, rather than the secrets of pretending it's their friends and stuff.
Yeah, for me as a parent, I think a big takeaway is as parents, we need to find out more. There are lots of statistics. There is a lot going on out there. This is new. So in many ways, because it's so new, obviously there's not going to be as much information as we'd like to be able to get our hands on. But what we are getting our hands on is very alarming. It's extremely alarming. I don't know how much worse it can get. And I think it's going to be, the point is, what it is now is almost like, are we going to start to just wait for the numbers to stack up that young people are, keeling over? They start off with bronchitis. More young people are going to become asthmatics. They're going to be taking steroids. They're going to be doing those things. So I think for me as a parent, and I take away from this conversation today, is I have, not just as a parent, but as an auntie, as as somebody who cares about young people, to actually remember to find out for myself, so that I know that I'm equipped. I'm equipped to support if a young person also asks me a question, that I might have some useful information to give to them. And also I think it's about recognizing that when we need to care really about our children's long-term health. Long-term, there are certain things that we might not see now, but actually we don't want to be these parents that are actually burying our children because of lung failure and things like that, or cancer, whatever, because we don't know what the next set of researchers are going to actually pull out of the bag, right? And the new statistics. But right now we need to actually say we care very much, equally like we care about their education, we care about their long-term health beyond maybe the years that even that we're going to be alive. For them, they can be for their children, their children's children. So it's about leaving that kind of like a bit of, I know it sounds a bit thing, but a bit of a legacy really, to make sure that we know enough to share. And so I think today I think that's because, to me, I've learned quite a lot, and I think it's really made me want to find out more and to find ways to share it, but also to recognize that when we see young people, just checking, even as I said, there's odd behavior. Our young people aren't sleeping as well as that we would like them to. Their grades are going down, all of those different things. And as you say, mood swings, and we know what vaping can cause. And actually, one young person said that even though I don't vape, because they do it in the toilets at school, I'm inhaling that. So I'm actually become, what do you call it, a passive? So and this is what's happening. So we have to remember that they'll say, well, it's me, I'm doing it. Who cares about well, actually you're actually impacting the space around you and the people around you. So I think it's just about making sure that we do what we can do to because it is, I think, even as like yourself and maybe others that are on this platform, we all care and support young people. and we care for and we support young people. So it is about how do we support them? How do we educate ourselves? You know, how do we help others to become educated? So just sharing that information in the same way that we send information, you know, like WhatsApp things. We need, you know, there's funny little things. We need to be really making sure that we're sending that information out to our friends and to our young people. If we've got young people that we're in contact with, like your nieces and, you know, whoever they are, let's send that information out. Parents, let's send it out. Let us not be afraid to send it out. If it's not their bag of tricks, it's not their bag of tricks, but guaranteed they probably know someone else that it's going to be their bag of tricks. So the information that we have, you know, if we can put it, I think if the gifters can put it in even a format that we can send that out and put on our website, and we can make sure that, you know, and also understanding that when we look at young people and low attainment, and we look at young people and, you know, depression and all these different things, there's going to be, if we've got 20% of young people, this is going to play a very big part in why our young people are underperforming, why they're unable to have healthy relationships, unhealthy bodies, all of these things. It's having a massive impact.
Yeah, completely.
I don't know, what time is it now?
9:05. Gone so quick.
I know it has. Yeah, so that's for me. That's what I think my big takeaway. And, you know, I hope that anyone's watching it and those that are going to watch it are going to find it useful. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to put information up online, Esme, so that people can actually go on our website and find out, because it's such an important topic.
Yeah.
And it's one that often, you know, right now, so there isn't as much information as we'd like out there, but we can all play our part in making sure that it gets out there.
Amazing.
Okay.
See you later. See you next week, 8 p.m. next week for another parent plug-in.
It's been great. I've enjoyed it.
Me too.
It's actually my first one.
Me too.
So no, I've definitely enjoyed it. Thank you, Esme. It's been great chatting.
Later.
Okay then. Bye.